Alright boys, so in this video we're going to go over two things. The first one is elaborate a little bit more on Keenan Allen, and the second one is yesterday's practice. So just quickly briefing through the Keenan Allen signing. It's super interesting because with Mike Williams retiring right before camp, all of a sudden Quentin Johnston became the team leader in receptions with 93. Keenan Allen has 974 career receptions, and last season I thought he played very well, especially late in the season. Caleb Williams didn't exactly dazzle the passing game, like with his passing, and just was pretty subpar, which might even be generous. So you bring him in with the Chargers. Of course, he has familiarity with Justin Herbert. He's going to be paired with Ladd McConkey. Also, though, you've got Trey Harris and Keandre Lambert-Smith, who are going to be playing on the outside. Keenan Allen, I said yesterday that he's a slot receiver, which is true. But statistically speaking, from an efficiency standpoint, he was barely better on the outside versus the inside. Basically the same, but still. Now, technically, he was better on the outside. I do think that him and Ladd McConkey are sort of interchangeable, but this is a big time move to sort of get the rookies up to speed and to take the pressure off of them as well, because I don't think it's very smart to rush in two rookies on the outside. I know Quentin Johnston's going to get one of those spots, but still it's going to be between Harris and Lambert-Smith, and I think they're both pretty close right now. One was a second round pick, of course. One was a day 3 pick in the 5th round. So we'll wait and see on that. But even like QJ, of course, too. I mean, all of a sudden he thinks that, hey, look, we've got Mike Williams, we've got Trey Harris, Ladd McConkey, but now it's like everyone moved up a spot, and Ladd McConkey has the most pressure of them all. So I think Keenan Allen just takes pressure off of the passing game. And it's interesting because yesterday's practice was very run heavy. The pads were on. And by the way, guys, Amari Hampton had his first real breakout run of the summer. It was a 20-yard touchdown. Even if there were tackling was enabled, it still would have been a touchdown, which I thought was pretty cool. But it's not just Ladd McConkey that's been missing practice, of course. It's also been Mekhi Becton, which, to be honest, you guys might disagree. I think it's actually a benefit that McConkey and Becton haven't been practicing. Of course, I'm not wishing that they get injured or anything crazy like that, but it allows opportunities for other guys. Like the rookies are now getting more reps. And at the guard position, Jamari Sawyer is getting more reps. And I stand on this, and I'll continue to stand on it. I'd love to see him legitimately get a shot over Zion Johnson. I just don't think Zion's that great. And you look at practice yesterday, the defensive line, which was absolutely wreaking havoc. Tuli Tuipulotu actually was able to beat Zion Johnson, who was pulling him, which is what Zion does best because he's an athletic lineman. But it just didn't matter. Khalil Mack, unsurprisingly, nobody surprised by any means. He had a dominant practice. He had multiple wins. And it's just super funny to think about because the defensive line is just such a deep unit. And I don't mean to toot my own horn, but I've been saying this all summer, is that the Chargers' defensive line got better. And the fact that they're going up against the offensive line, not that it's the best, but I mean, the tackles are great, but the interior, I think that might be a large reason for it. I think it's kind of a mix of the D line is fantastic, but I think the interior of the line is just not great. Like Bradley Bozeman gave up, the third most pressures from a center last year, and then, of course, Zion gave up the 8th most, so it's not going to cut it. And without Mekhi Becton being out there, Jamar Sawyer has to kind of step in. So we'll see what the D-line continues to do the rest of the preseason, of course. So next game is against the New Orleans Saints, so not exactly the toughest opponent there, but the Rams and the Niners are after that. And then a difficult one is the Kansas City Chiefs Week 1, September 5th. I mean, I can't wait for that game, man. I mean, time is flying. I remember when OTAs were going on and then mini camp and then training, rookie camp and all. It's just, wow. I mean, the off season, it feels like an eternity, but once you start to get to OTAs, it just absolutely flies by. And I'm excited about the Chargers. My thing, though, is going to be the depth. The Chargers have a lot of depth, and we've been praising that. But it's time to actually put it into play and to see what happens. And the offensive line hasn't looked that great, like if I'm being honest. In terms of the receivers, they've kind of been on and off again. So that's why, to sort of piggyback off of my previous point, that's why I love the addition of Keenan Allen, because he's just a veteran that's played in the league for a while, who knows what it takes to win. He has that chemistry with Justin Herbert. And he's just a guy that is beloved as well by the Chargers and their fans. And you look at Jim Harbaugh and, of course, Greg Roman, they've got a lot of respect for him, man. I mean, he's just a veteran, and I think he's going to be a big-time target. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if, Keenan Allen is our wide receiver too all season. I just really wouldn't be over Johnson, over Trey Harris. Allen still has a lot left in the tank, and how old is he at this point? I think he's 33. I'm going to fact check that right now, but he is 33. Okay, 1992 out of North Carolina. Pretty cool. Started his career in 2013. Allen, it just makes me a lot more optimistic about the passing game. I know the Chargers are going to be able to run the ball, of course, with Najee Harris and Amari Hampton. Even though I am doubting the interior of the line, those guys are just so good that the Chargers will have a run game. Greg Roman also dials up run plays very, very well. That's his specialty. I almost said speciality like I'm British. Yeah. Anyways, I digress. I know the run game is going to be good. I know Justin Herbert's going to do his thing. But somebody's going to have to make a play outside of Ladd McConkey. And I wanted to make a video about Terry McLaurin. I just don't see it as realistic. I don't think the Chargers would do that, so that's why I didn't bother making it. But Terry McLaurin would actually be pretty perfect for this team. The fact that, though, you did lock up, of course, Rashawn Slater. Like, Joe Alt eventually is going to get a mega deal. Justin Herbert obviously paid. And, of course, Khalil Mack's not making that much because he's, 34 or whatever. But it doesn't seem like the Chargers to sort of trade, even if it was a 4th-round pick and then give Terry a big deal worth $30 million annually. I just don't see that as a Charger type of thing. But from a roster standpoint, I mean, could you imagine Terry McLaurin on the outside with Ladd McConkey in the inside, and then Keenan Allen sort of working in and out, and then of course Ronnie Gadsden once he gets up to speed, and it's gonna be a lot of fun. That's my biggest question, though. Well, my biggest question is the offensive line of the interior. But right next to it is the outside receiver production. I thought Keandre Lambert-Smith, who, funny enough, is on the screen right there, I thought he had a very good preseason game, a couple of catches, including a touchdown. Trey Harris did not have a catch, so he's going to have to get going. It's still a lot of time left. But in terms of the rookies, they're being asked to do a lot. Mekhi Becton, who hasn't practiced since the end of July, by the way, with of course, McConkey, he's also being asked to do a lot in his own right because he's sort of stepping in to play next to Bradley Bozeman and to play next to Zion Johnson. And he's being asked to be able to elevate the offensive line. And I just don't think that's very fair. Surprised the Chargers didn't address that more in the draft. They even took a corner in the 7th round. Of course, they doubled up on receiver. They double dipped, which I'm not complaining about. I loved both of the picks. Of course, they did take an edge, which can't really fault them for that. They're taking the most important positions in the game. But, time will tell. I mean, I might look like the biggest idiot. I mean, maybe these rookie receivers will ball out, and maybe, of course, the offensive interior will improve with Mekhi Becton. I mean, I don't know. Am I nervous? Yes, because the issues that remain last season haven't even been addressed. But I also do have a lot of respect and faith in management, of course, and everyone that's here. Minner, Harbaugh, Roman, Ortiz, all these guys, I believe in them. They know what they're doing. I just need to see it before I believe it, And we should get a very, very good glimpse of it the rest of the preseason, and certainly week 1 against the Chiefs we will. Man, I'm just fired up thinking about it. I'm not even on the team. I'm not even taking the field, and I'm fired up. Imagine how the Chargers feel. Let's go.